the link to which Aristotle draws our attention between arguments about justice and rights on the one hand, and figuring out the telos, or the purpose of a social practice, on the other. Not only that, the case of Casey Martin and his golf cart also brings out the link between debates about what the purpose of a social practice or a game is, on the one hand, and the question of what qualities should be honored on the other. The link between teleology and honor-based principles of distributive justice. Who was Casey Martin? Well, Casey Martin is a very good golfer, able to compete at the highest levels of golf, but for one thing. He has a rare circulatory problem in his leg that makes it very difficult for him to walk. Not only difficult, but dangerous. And so he asked the PGA, which governs the Pro Tour in golf, to be able to use a golf cart when he competed in professional tournaments. The PGA said no, and he sued under the Americans for Disabilities Act. He sued in a case that went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. The question the Supreme Court had to answer was, does Casey Martin have a right that the PGA allow him to use the golf cart on the tour, or not? How many here think that, from a moral point of view, Casey Martin should have a right to use a golf cart? And how many think that he should not have a right to a golf cart in the tournaments? So the majority are sympathetic to Casey Martin's right, though a substantial minority disagree. Let's first hear from those of you who would rule against Casey Martin. Why would you not say that the PGA must give him a golf cart? Yes.
Since the inception of golf, because it's been part of the sport, it's now intrinsically part of golf, walking the course. And thus, because it's intrinsic to golf, I'd argue that not being able to walk the course is just not being able to perform an aspect of the sport which is necessary to performing at a professional level.
Good. Stay there for a minute. What's your name?
Tommy.
Are you a golfer, by the way, Tom?
Not so much, but yeah, a little bit.
Are there any golfers here? I mean, real golfers?
Thank you, Professor. That was
No. I'm just taking your word for it. Who are there? Is there someone here on the golf team? Yes? Tell us your name and tell us what you think.
My name is Michael, and I usually take a cart, so probably probably the wrong person to ask.
Is that why your hand went up slowly when I...
Yes.
All right. But Tom is saying, Tom said a minute ago that at least at the professional level, walking the course is essential to the game. Do you agree?
I would, yes.
You do? Then why do you take a cart? And you call yourself a golfer? No, no. I'm kidding. What do you say to that?
When I have walked a course, it does add tremendously to the game. Makes it a lot harder, it really does.
Yeah? All right, let's hear, Michael and Tom, stay there. Let's hear from people who say that he should have a right to a golf cart. Why? Who's prepared to defend that position? Yes.
Well, I think the PGA should definitely be required to give him a golf cart, because they argue in the decision that it's not just a matter of he's not experiencing fatigue. For him, he's still walking about a mile. The cart can't go everywhere with him. And in that mile, he's still experiencing more fatigue and pain than a healthy player would. So it's not as if you're removing the disadvantage.
What's your name?
Riva.
Riva, what do you say to Tom's point that walking the course is essential to the game? It would be as if a disabled player could play in the NBA but not have to run up and down the court.
Well, I think there are two responses to that. First, I don't think it's essential to the game because most golfers who play, particularly recreationally, don't play with a cart.
Like
and on
Michael.
Several,
Michael.
And
Right.
on several of the tours, you can play with a cart. On the Senior PGA Tour, on the Nike Tour, in a lot of the college events, and those events are just as competitive and just as high level as the PGA Tour. So really, it's just a matter of selective reasoning if you argue that it's an important part of the sport. But even if it is, he still does have to walk. He still plays golf standing up. It's not as if he's playing golf from a wheelchair.
All right. Who else? Go ahead.
I think the whole point of a competition is that it calls out the best, from the second best or from the third best. And when we're talking about the national level, we're talking about, the highest of the highest. And I think what they're arguing about here is the purpose of competition. And I think in the sake of competition, you can't change the rules.
So the purpose of the competition includes walking. That's an essential. You agree with Tom. And what's your name?
David.
The Supreme Court ruled that the PGA did have to accommodate Casey Martin. And they did it on grounds that Riva mentioned, that walking isn't really an essential part of the game. They cited testimony saying that walking the court consumes no more calories than you get eating a Big Mac. That's what walking is in golf, according to the majority. Scalia was in dissent. Justice Scalia agreed with David. He said, there is no purpose. It's not, and it's certainly not for courts to try to figure out the essential purpose of golf. Golf, like any game, is strictly for amusement. And if there's a group that wants to have one version of the game, they can have that version of the game. And the market can decide whether people are amused and like and show up for that and watch the television broadcasts. Scalia's dissent was an anti-Aristotelian dissent. Because notice two things about the argument. First, we're thrust into a discussion about what the essential nature or purpose or telos of golf really is. Does it include walking? And here's something I think is rumbling beneath the surface of this debate. Whether walking partly determines whether golf is really an athletic competition. After all, the ball sits still. You have to put it in a hole. Is it more like basketball, baseball, and football, golf, an athletic competition? Or is it more like billiards? The ball sits still there, too. You can be out of shape and succeed. It involves skill, but not athletic skill. Could it be that those professional golfers who excel at golf have a stake in golf being honored and recognized as an athletic event, not just a game of skill like billiards? And if that's what's at stake, then we have a debate about the purpose, the teleological dimension, and also a debate about honor. What virtues, really, does the game of golf honor and recognize? To